Hi everyone, my name is Uma Sophia, and for those of you who don't know me, I am Miss Teen USA 2023, and this is a very special video because it is my first YouTube video ever. I'm not talking about the weird little eye movies that we all made as kids, because those exist and they haunt me, but I'm just so excited about this video because yesterday, I put a poll on my Instagram asking you guys what questions you had for me because it's been a month and a half and I want you guys to really know who I am and what I'm about. So I've answered all your questions in this video and also shown you how I do my everyday makeup. So let's get started. So a question that I did get a lot of was, how did I start doing pageants? What was my first pageant? What system did I compete in? So actually, Miss Teen USA is the only system I've competed in, and I've done 3 pageants total. I started about, I think, a year and a half ago. It was my freshman year of high school, and I saw an ad for it on Instagram. And at the time, I had always been a very outgoing kid, but I feel like at some point, with the bullying that I was going through in high school and middle school, I thought that it would change once I got to high school. When it didn't, I kind of lost some of the confidence that just had always been so innate in myself. So when I saw that photo of the previous Miss Teen New Jersey getting rushed by all the girls who looked so happy for her win, I had never had that close group of girlfriends, and so that is kind of what drew me to it. And so later I found out that pageantry was all about charity and helping others, and growing up, that was a huge part of my life. One of the charities that I still work with now, Lotus Petal Foundation, I have been seeing my parents and my family friends work in that organization for so long, seeing the impact that it has on kids in India. And so, yeah, charity was a huge part of my life. So here I am seeing this competition that has everything that I feel makes me me, and it gave me an opportunity to gain my confidence back. So that first year that I competed, I had no previous pageant experience. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I went into it saying that I was going to try my best. I wasn't going to worry about winning. I was just going to try to find that spark, that confidence that I had lost in school. So that year, I actually ended up placing first runner-up, and I was shocked. I thought that I wasn't even going to make it to top 20 because it was my first pageant. Actually, after my interview, I called my mom crying that, oh my God, I don't think it went well. And so I was really proud of myself, and that was kind of the turning point for me in my personal life to kind of show to myself that you can do it, and I shouldn't really care about what people were saying about me at the time, because it was very difficult. I was going through, like I said, a lot of social problems, and it didn't only have to do with my background. It had to do with a lot of saying, like, unfortunately, not all the girls that you will meet in your life will be as supportive as those that I've met in my pageant life. And I think that's what I appreciated so much about the pageant too, was that the girls I met were so caring and passionate and intelligent and just so nice. And I feel like the reason why that is because pageantry allows us to share our true selves, to be our true selves. And I think that's missing. A lot of us are pitted against each other rather than lifting each other up. And that's what I was able to find. So actually, it was my dad who convinced me to apply for Miss Teen New Jersey again, because I thought, like, you know, one and done. This was something that I did for fun. I didn't know how far it was going to take me. And I was always, like, very academically focused. So I was always that girl growing up with her nose in a book, glasses, braces. So I didn't really see myself as, you know, that pageant queen yet. But if there's anything I've realized about pageantry, is that it truly is about breaking stereotypes. And for me, being that representation, being that person for young girls and boys that I didn't have growing up, or that I needed in those times of questioning my identity, questioning myself, because why wasn't I fitting in? So when I competed the second year, I had a coach now. I was a little bit more savvy in, like, what the Miss New Jersey pageant would look like. So I felt super confident going into that week. And I know the whole week before, it wasn't out of, like, oh, I thought I was going to win, because I didn't know whether I was going to win, but I kept telling myself, what will be yours will be yours. And I think that this is yours, Uma. And I would talk to myself like this, and I would sound crazy because every morning I'd wake up and talk to myself and be like, you got this. Like, just know that you have put your 100% into this. Like, you have done all you can. So when it came to the actual event, I just felt so calm and centered, and it was black and white from my second interview to my first year of interview. I walked out of that interview feeling like I was on top of the world. I got to talk about everything. I felt so confident in myself, and not coincidentally, this was also the year that I had transferred schools. So before I used to go to a public school, and now I go to an all-girls school, and I feel like it had less to do with, the change in environment, although that helped too, but it also had to do a lot about myself, because for many years, like, it wasn't just like a year that I was getting bullied. It went on for at least 4+ years, and I'm very stubborn. I like to make things work. And so I thought, you know what, like, I just stick it out, it would get better, and it didn't. So I think when I made that change, when I transferred finally, something clicked within me. And that was when I could really, blossom. So that was a year I ended up winning. I say that was a year, but it was back in March. I feel like this year has been almost like 3 different lives for me, because in March, 10, 11 months ago, I was crowned Miss New Jersey Teen USA, and now I'm Miss Teen USA, which is still so crazy to think about, but I'm just so grateful every day for everything that has happened this past year, because people ask me, like, is there anything that you would change? And while, looking back, I would probably do certain things differently, I don't think I would change a thing, because I feel like there were times where I could have avoided a lot of the pain that I went through to get to how confident in myself I feel today, but I wouldn't have been the same person. And I think I needed to go through all of that to be able to properly enjoy this year, to really kind of almost savor the fact that, yeah, I did this and I'm proud of myself for doing that. So that was another question, actually, how do I feel about being Miss Teen USA? So some of you may know this from watching my competition as Miss Teen USA and keeping up with me, which I'm so grateful for all of you who send me sweet messages about how you were there since the beginning. And I'm just so appreciative of the people that this journey has brought to me. But I feel like I'm very drawn to humanitarian work. And so as Miss Teen USA, I'm so grateful that that's really the foremost part of all of this. A lot of you also asked me what I hope to achieve during my reign. And my platform is all about diversity, all about inclusion. I come from a Mexican Indian background, and I think a lot of the issues I had growing up stemmed from the fact that I didn't realize how special and how unique that was. And when I was little, I actually I loved being half and half. I grew up with both cultures. My mom and dad made it a huge priority in my life to see both sides of it. So I grew up celebrating Dia de los Muertos and Holi and Diwali and Christmas. So I had a really fun childhood. And then when I got to that stage of my life where things had changed, I didn't see that as a superpower anymore. And now I'm back to seeing how strong and powerful and unique it makes me. And so that's my goal, to show other young girls, boys, really people of all ages, which that's why the white jaguar, if you read its age rating, it says, I believe it says something 3 to 99. I don't know, but it says people of all ages, because it's true. I think no matter what stage in life you're in, sometimes we can forget how what makes us different isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's our superpower, essentially. So yeah. So another thing I got a lot of questions about, which I'm so glad because I really wanted to talk about this, was how I balance school and being Miss Teen USA. And so I missed 10 days of school being in Reno, and then another couple because of media week after I won. And actually, funny story, when they told my dad that I'd be going to California for media week, which meant I would be missing a couple days of school, he was like, well, what about school? that was his first reaction. And so all of us laugh about that now. But it's true, like I said, growing up, I was always super academic. Like I've always been on the high honor roll, something that I pride myself on. So this year, actually, I'm in all honors again, and I have 3 AP classes and 1 college course. And so I think when I got back, it was something like 38 assignments that I had piled up. And I'm not gonna lie, there were days where I would literally come home and like break down because it was just so overwhelming. It was so overwhelming. I had like 3 essays and so many tests, and I felt like every time that I had completed a test during lunch, first of all, I felt like I was missing out because I was constantly in the classroom making up stuff, and then I wasn't able to see or talk to anyone. And then the other thing was that, like, just because I came back and I was making up tests doesn't mean that the new tests weren't stopping. So it was definitely a lot to adjust to, but I can admit this. I do struggle sometimes with asking for help, and that is ultimately what made this process so easy for me. I went to my guidance counselor and she helped me make a schedule with all my teachers. I kept an open dialogue with all my teachers, and I sent them my schedule before I left and saying like, hey, I don't really think I'll have time to complete the work because, you know, when you're there, you want to enjoy everything. And I tried to complete as much as possible, but I knew I wanted to give my all to this competition. And I was lucky that all my teachers really understood that. And I had never really given anyone any doubt as to how dedicated I was. So I think that helped also, being proactive and showing your teachers that you care about the classes that you're in, that you care about succeeding. I think that's the key. And listen, fellow juniors out there, I know you know how daunting it is. Junior year is arguably the toughest year of high school because this is really the year that everyone says will count towards college. And obviously you have SATs and all the new AP classes that you're taking. Actually, I just had SAT practice this morning. But it's all about balancing your time, balancing your energy. And so that's actually one thing that pageants have showed me. There have been times where, like as Miss New Jersey, I tried to do multiple events in the same day. And while sometimes like it did work out perfectly fine, like I always put my 100% into the events that I go to, I felt like if I had done only one event, I could have had more energy, I could have been more involved. And at the end of the day, it is very draining. Like I love this. I love being Miss Teen USA. It's a dream come true. But you have to give yourself a little grace. It is hard to talk to people all day sometimes. And you get emotionally exhausted, especially like if you have something going on outside of your duties of Miss Teen USA or outside of your duties at school. So you really have to center yourself and make sure to put yourself first if you're having an off day. So actually, that's another question that I got. How do I stay positive when things get tough? So I have definitely gotten better at this. I feel like I can be more open and talk about my problems and ask for help, like I mentioned, but it is not easy. I'm telling you, like, especially when you're very driven and very ambitious, I feel like you want to do everything yourself. You want to show people that you're strong and that you don't need help. But let me tell you, I'm the first one to say that asking for help does not make you weak. And so when I was struggling at my worst, like having anxiety every single day I would go to school, it took me asking for help to actually fix that because I was going through days where I wasn't telling anyone how I was feeling. And then who does that help? It doesn't help me. It doesn't help my parents who were trying to figure out what was going on. And I've always been very open and honest with my parents, but I suggest being very open and honest with yourself, like really taking a step back from your week and asking yourself, like, hey, how am I feeling? How did this make me feel? Like if you had maybe a test that you didn't do so well on, which trust me, I can relate to. Like you're always going to have a bad day. Just because I am a straight A student usually doesn't mean that every single time I get an A back on my tests. Like, guys, I've failed my midterms before. Like I know how that feels. But what's most important is you just have to pick yourself back up and keep going. My dad always loves to quote this, and I'm not a huge sports person, but Wayne Gretzky said, the hockey player, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And if you let yourself, be weighed down by your failures instead of using them to propel you forward, to see how far you've come since your first attempt at, let's say, a pageant or a specific subject, you're never going to see yourself fully blossom. And so I think that's like a motif in my life that I felt like there were times where I just wanted to give up, like give up on myself. And this experience has really shown me that if you keep believing in yourself, if you keep working at something, what is meant for you will come for you. So for me, Miss Teen USA, I'm so grateful that this was an opportunity that was meant for me. But there were so many little things, friendships, opportunities that came out of my experience and the weekend itself that are truly priceless. It's not always about winning. I feel like you hear that a lot, and it's easy for me to say, I understand, but sometimes it's about learning more about yourself and the experience along the way. Because I'm a completely different person than the person I was at the beginning of Miss Teen USA week, and at the end, and at the beginning of Miss New Jersey, and at the beginning of before I transferred schools. So there's always a new beginning, and there's always going to be an end. But it's up to you what you choose to make of the chapter that follows. So with all that being said, the advice that I would give to girls competing in the system, but really in pageants in general, is one, pageantry really helps you get to know yourself, but it does help if you feel comfortable talking about yourself and what you're passionate about before you have the experience of entering the actual pageant, because what pageants I feel like are looking for is to show them what you would be like if you had the title of Miss Teen USA. So I feel like it's very easy to think about like, oh, what is the perfect image of Miss Teen USA or Miss New Jersey Teen USA? Like, what do they want me to be? But it's more about them seeing what you would do with the title. So again, it comes back to the fact that you have to embrace what makes you unique, embrace what makes you you, because in the end, no matter how many girls you're competing against, none of them are like you. And that's what makes us all so special, because it doesn't come down to like winning or losing. It just comes down to showing who you truly are, being on that stage, being comfortable with thinking that, yeah, I can be the next Miss Teen USA, and be proud of yourself and the accomplishments that you've already achieved as a state title holder, or, before you win the state title as yourself, me, Uma, So it does take a lot of realizing the work that you put in and giving yourself a pat on the back sometimes, because I don't know if this is the stereotypical pageant girl, but all of us are very hard on ourselves. And I know that I'm also very hard on myself. So it's okay to sometimes take a step back and commend yourself on what a good job you've been doing. Don't forget that. So another question I got was, what gave me the idea to write and illustrate The White Jaguar, which, if you guys don't know, is my children's book. And it follows the story of a little white jaguar named Nieve, who doesn't quite fit in with the other jaguars because of her unique white coat. And so at the beginning, she feels like she doesn't fit in. She's really sad because she can't find that sense of identity with the other jaguars, but she meets characters throughout the book that help her realize that her differences can actually help bring other people together. And so, I think it's pretty safe to say that I saw myself a lot in writing the character of Nieve, and I am just so glad that my experiences, I'm able to use them to inspire other kids who have gone through similar things, because my favorite appearances have been the ones where I go to schools and get to talk to the kids and get to read them the story of the White Jaguar, and to see their faces light up when maybe they see some sort of recognition with themselves in the character has truly been so rewarding and so gratifying an experience. And the conversations that I've been able to have with some of these kids, funny and serious, and the way that they've been able to open up to me through this book has truly been so incredible, and way more than what I had imagined when I started writing this book. So I have always been a writer. I actually have been working on a novel for quite a long time. It's not going to be published anytime soon, but I've always been a creative writer, and my mom is an art teacher, so I grew up with art being a huge influence in my life. And when I became Miss New Jersey Teen USA, I made a promise to myself saying that if I had an idea this year, I was just going to go after it. And so I did. I was like, well, why don't I write and illustrate a book? I love to draw. I love writing. And so I just started. I storyboarded the whole thing. It took me about 3 months to finish all of the illustrations. And I have to say, one thing that I didn't realize going into publishing my book was how difficult the actual publishing process would be. Shout out to my mom for helping me through that, because it honestly takes so much. Like, you have to get the formatting right. There was a big snafu with like my cover and the words coming out wonky, so it definitely tested me. But again, I chose not to give up, and now I am so fulfilled with the message that I've been able to bring out in the world and the kids that I've been able to inspire with it. So honestly, I'm glad, like, whatever freak out moments that I had with publishing the book, they were completely worth it. So if you guys are interested in publishing a book, like, if you have any questions, reach out, because I know how hard it can be and I can help you throughout the process. I'll try my best. So since I am a junior, I'm going to be applying to colleges very, very soon, and I got a couple questions about what my dream school is. And I just wanted to say this. I think it's very easy to compare ourselves, to compare each other's bodies or looks, our acceptances into college, our grades, really anything and everything, with social media giving us a glimpse into people's lives and us thinking that, oh, that must be them 100% of the time. But it's not true, right? So what I'm looking for in a school is, one, a safe environment where diversity is accepted, embraced, where people are open-minded. I definitely am looking into a couple schools already, because I think I know what I want my major to be, and that's international and foreign relations. So far, like, it would be very cool to be connected in DC. New Jersey has also very good schools with amazing international relations programs, but so does California. So actually this summer, as Miss New Jersey Teen USA, I went to a program at UCLA and I stayed there for 10 days. And I don't know, I was worried for a little bit that this East Coast girl was converted to a West Coast girly, because I was there, and it's something about like waking up every single day to beautiful sunshine and 70-degree weather that just makes you want to wake up at 5 a.m., which I am not a morning person, and it really surprised me that when I was there, like, literally every single day without fail, I was waking up at 4 o'clock, 5 a.m. to get ready for like these seminars. And I was like surprising myself. I'm like, who is she? I'm not condoning this, but I have like the worst time management in the morning, and I feel like the morning gets away from me. And so I'll be in bed like 10 minutes before I have to leave for school. So don't be like me. I'm getting better at it, but I feel like the warm weather would help with that. So obviously there are a bunch of different factors that I'm looking into, but that's where I'm at right now. And I mean, of course we have our dream schools, but you never know where life is gonna take you. And actually one of my favorite teachers told me this: are you looking for the best place for you, or are you looking for a bumper sticker that'll impress people? And it's okay. It's okay if you are. It's really, really amazing to have your achievements recognized. But in the end, I feel like, especially with pageantry, what I've learned is that, did I know that I was going to be Miss Teen USA? Like, if you had asked me 3 years ago, did I know I was going to be Miss Teen USA? No. I feel like you just have to wait for where life takes you. And I'm not just saying like sit around and wait for things to happen to you, but trust in the process. Trust that you will be where you belong. Hey, like, I get it. Sometimes it's not where you want to be. Sometimes you worked really hard and you fail, or you don't get to where you were thinking of going all those years. But every single time that I thought I had failed in my life, or that I wasn't worthy of something that I had worked really hard for, something better was in store for me down the line. So I think it's really just about having belief in yourself, like I said, but trusting that you will end up with the right effort and with the right attitude about things, you will end up where you need to be. Oh, see, I'm trying to be all serious, and look what it's okay, we'll fix it. Looking snatched. So another question that a lot of you ask me is if I'm thinking about competing for Miss USA. And while I can't say for sure, like, yes, I am, I definitely do see myself possibly doing it in the future. I feel like I'm too young to decide right now, and I really just have to focus on, like, I know for sure that I want to go to college before I start thinking about doing another pageant. But I am just so grateful for everything, all the opportunities, the people that I've met, and the memories that this organization and being Miss New Jersey and now being Miss Teen USA have and will afford me. So I feel like this is enough for now, and I'm very happy where I'm at. So another thing you guys asked was what events I'm looking forward to. I don't want to surprise you guys, but I will say that this Thursday, Thanksgiving, I am going to be attending a very special event, if that gives any of you a hint as to what it possibly could be. But yeah, so stay tuned. In December, I will be going to a children's museum to read my book, The White Jaguar, for Christmas time, and it's in partner with Bridges to Books, which is an organization I've been working with as Miss New Jersey Teen USA and now as Miss Teen USA that helps bring books to kids in lower income communities that, you know, can't afford that. And growing up, I always had a book in my hand, or a comic book for that matter. And I think it's really important that every child gets to experience the confidence that reading gives you, because I know I would be a very different person if I wasn't like a total bookworm growing up. You also asked me what inspires me, and I have to say my parents. Both of them are immigrants. My dad was born in India, my mom was born in Mexico, and to hear their stories of how they had me and how they came to the US is honestly really inspiring, and I think has driven me from a very young age to make the most of the opportunities given to me, because I know that opportunities can be few and far to come by, so I am grateful for each and every one. And then I also have to say my past self. Like I was saying, I think it's important to realize how far you've come, and I've certainly gotten better at that. It's important to acknowledge the work that you've put into the past, and that doesn't make you selfish or narcissistic. It just, you realize, like, you have to give yourself credit for how hard you work, because in the end, you only have yourself, and you need to be confident in yourself, you need to be comfortable with yourself, and you need to know yourself. And that comes with knowing and appreciating the work that you put into your body, to your mind, and to your career or your education or whatever it may be that you're passionate about. So a few fun facts about me. You guys asked what my favorite movies are. I am a huge, and I mean huge, Lord of the Rings fan. Like, I have literally watched all the movies, including The Hobbit, straight through at least 8 times, I want to say. And also, I love rom-coms. I know people argue whether this is a rom-com because of its sad ending. I love La La Land. And I guess maybe that's where I fell in love with California. Who knows? A couple of you guys also asked me what kind of music I like. I'll link my Spotify so you guys can follow me, and if I'm a Taylor Swift fan, and the answer is yes. I absolutely love Taylor Swift. I went to the Reputation Stadium tour. It was raining, and it was honestly one of the top 10 best experiences of my life. I think she is such a good role model, and I grew up with her. She really shows us how you can overcome adversity and come out on top like the queen she is. So yeah, that was basically my playlist for Miss Teen USA weekend. Mastermind, if any of you know the lyrics, like that was playing in my head. I also love country music, like Zach Bryan, which my best friend got me into. And then what else do I like? I like rock music. Huge Eagles fan because my dad and I's song is Hotel California. Oh, Phoebe Bridgers is another big one, but if I had to pick one song that I'm really vibing with right now, probably Stick Season by Noah Kahan. It's such a good fall song. And I feel like being away for so long, like I missed the beginning of New Jersey fall, but when I came back, I went to Lowe's with my dad, actually on Halloween. I didn't really do much that weekend, so my dad and I kind of went all crazy with our garden, bought a bunch of plants, planted them, and it was honestly, like, I love gardening and I kind of had forgotten about that, so that was really nice. And so this song kind of reminds me of like spending time with my family and like Thanksgiving, just all the vibes. My favorite Starbucks drink, it has to be a pumpkin cold cream chai latte. I kid you not, one every single day the entire week of Miss Teen USA because it was so convenient. There was a Starbucks down there until we got banned. But anyways, yeah, I was not much of a coffee drinker or anything, but definitely broke that habit that week. Oops. But they're just so good. They're just so good. My favorite thing about New Jersey has to be how diverse it is. I mean, you have the Liberty Science Center, you have New York right there, you have the beach. I feel like also just New Jersey in general is also very diverse, bunch of different people from different backgrounds. And so it's really nice and I'm so proud of my state. My favorite color is pink. It's been that way all my life. I think it's just such a bright, happy color. Purple has been in the running because of my dress, and I feel like purple this past year has been connected to a lot of weird coincidences. So those two I would say are head to head right now. So I'm actually 5'5", and funny story about this, when I won, a lot of people were commenting under my post, "Short queen, we love our short queens." And I thought I was average height. I have no problem with being a short queen, but one thing that was really funny and that me and Farron laughed about was when I was getting crowned, the actual crown is much smaller than the crown that she was wearing. So it was kind of like an optical illusion that was created that I was crouching to be crowned. And also Farron's much taller than I am. So it was like all those things combined just made me look really short. And I like to laugh at it because I just think it's so funny, but yeah. So some of you asked also what my favorite thing about going gown shopping was. And so I will say that all 3 times that I bought a gown, that wasn't the gown that I had envisioned in my mind. I didn't expect to go with a gown like that at all. So I think when you go, you should be really open-minded. Like, for example, my New Jersey dress, bright pink, sequined, changed colors in the light. And I was actually looking for a white chiffon dress, so very different. And then same thing for Miss Teen USA. The dress that I ended up going with was not couture, it wasn't custom. I saw it, and now I can say this, my mom a couple months before had a dream, she said, of me winning in purple. If you know my mom, sometimes it's like, is she psychic? Because she can predict like the craziest things, and I love her so much. But we walked into the Giovanni showroom and it was just hanging there, and they were like, "Oh, that's the prom collection, but it's not going to be out in another year." And I was like, that's my dress. So it has nothing to do with price, about what the preconceived notion you have of what a winning pageant gown is. It should be what makes you feel the most comfortable, what makes you feel like you, and what makes you feel like the next Miss Teen USA or whatever title you're competing for. So that is my 2 cents on that. And so this is the final look. I had so much fun answering all of you guys' questions, and I hope this like kind of shows a little insight into who I am and that you guys got to know me. I actually really love doing this, so I think I might do this more in the future. And if there's one thing I had to leave you guys with, I know a lot of you asked like what advice I had for you, and I feel like I kind of talked about that a little bit. I'm going to be a broken record and say, just be yourself. Really, really just be yourself and embrace everything that makes you you, because all of you are so, like, when I read your messages to me and your comments, you guys are so kind and selfless and loving and hardworking, and I'm inspired by all of you. There is no one like you who has experienced what you have, and yeah, you might have a similar platform as someone else, but you are what defines your platform. You are what defines the way you speak, the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you present yourself. So just Just walk into pageant weekend with that in mind, that you are not competing with anyone else but yourself. You are competing with time and yourself. And it is something that I will say over and over and over again, because you just have to believe and it'll come true. I believe in you guys. Just keep that in mind if you're competing for a pageant this upcoming year. I am your biggest fan because I know it takes a lot of courage and I commend you guys. So if you have any questions, as always, my DMs are open for whatever you need. I am your big sister. I am here for you guys. Bye.